At 7:42 a.m. on August 17, 1942, Captain Paul Gunn crouched under the wing of a Douglas A-20 Havoc at Eagle Farm Airfield near Brisbane, watching mechanics weld 50 caliber machine guns into the bomber's nose, where the bombardier used to sit. 43 years old, 21 years in the Navy, his wife and 4 children trapped in a Japanese prison camp in Manila. The 5th Air Force was losing bombers faster than replacements arrived. In July alone, the 3rd Attack Group had lost 11 A-20s trying to hit Japanese convoys from high altitude. The bombardiers couldn't hit moving ships. When they dropped lower, the deck gunners shredded them. Captain Ed Larner had watched 3 of his crews burn in the Coral Sea the previous week. The Japanese were reinforcing New Guinea at will. Gunn had a different idea. If bombers flew low enough to skip bombs across the water like stones, they could hit ships at point-blank range. But first, they had to survive the approach. That meant overwhelming the deck guns with forward firepower. That meant turning bombers into strafers. The problem was simple. The A-20 Havoc had 30 caliber machine guns in the nose. 30 caliber rounds bounced off ship armor like hail. Gunn needed 50 caliber guns. 4 of them, mounted where the bombardier sat, firing straight ahead, 1,700 rounds per minute combined. General George Kenney, the new 5th Air Force commander, had given Gunn 1 week to prove the concept worked. Gunn was using 50 caliber guns stripped from wrecked P-39 and P-40 fighters that wouldn't fly again. The pilots were dead. The guns weren't. He mounted the guns on a steel frame inside the nose compartment. Each gun weighed 64 pounds for guns, 200 pounds of ammunition. The weight shifted the center of gravity forward. The test flight almost killed the pilot. The A-20 barely climbed. It wanted to nose over. Gunn spent 2 days rebalancing the aircraft. He moved equipment aft. He adjusted the tail trim. The second test pilot reported the plane flew like it was angry, but it flew. On September 12th, 16 modified A-20s hit the Japanese airfield at Buna. The strafers came in at treetop level, guns hammering. They destroyed 14 Japanese aircraft on the ground and suppressed every anti-aircraft position. 0 A-20s lost. Kenney wanted more, but the A-20 had problems. Its range was too short to reach Japanese bases across the Owen Stanley Mountains. Its bomb load was too light. Gunn needed a bigger platform. The B-25 Mitchell. Longer range, heavier payload, more space for guns. In December, Gunn pulled the bombardier and nose guns from AB to 5C and installed 50 caliber guns in the nose, for more and external cheek packs on the fuselage, and rotated the top turret forward. 10 forward firing guns. Then he added to more on each side. 14 guns total, 215 pounds of lead per second. The ground crew called it Pappy's Folly. Gunn flew the prototype to Charters Towers to demonstrate it to the 3rd Attack Group. The plane was nose-heavy. It wanted to drop out of the sky on takeoff. He had to use full back pressure on the stick just to keep it level. But once airborne, the B-25 was a flying destroyer. Kenney ordered 12 more conversions immediately. The 81st Air Depot Group in Townsville worked 18-hour days to modify every available B-25. By February 1943, they had 30 strafers ready for combat. Then Kenney sent the blueprints to Wright Field in Ohio. The Army Air Force engineers studied the modifications for 3 days. Then they sent a message back to Australia. The modifications were impractical. The balance would be wrong. The airplane would be too heavy. It wouldn't fly properly. They recommended grounding every modified B-25 immediately. Kenney wasn't in Washington when the message arrived. He walked into General Arnold's office where the Wright Field engineers were waiting to explain why Pappy Gunn's gunship wasn't possible. Kenney told them 12 of the impossible airplanes had just played the key role in destroying a Japanese convoy in the Bismarck Sea. Every transport sunk. 60 more strafers were already being modified in Australia. Arnold practically ran the engineers out of his office. The Battle of the Bismarck Sea started with intelligence intercepts on February 28, 1943. Allied codebreakers in Melbourne read the encrypted Japanese naval messages. A convoy was leaving Rabaul. 8 transport ships, 8 destroyer escorts, Nearly 7,000 Japanese troops bound for Lae on New Guinea's north coast. General Kenny had 72 hours to stop them. The convoy route crossed the Bismarck Sea between New Britain and New Guinea. 400 miles of open water. Japanese commanders believed bad weather would shield them. March was monsoon season. Low clouds, heavy rain, poor visibility. Allied bombers couldn't hit what they couldn't see. They were right about the weather. They were wrong about the bombers. On March 2nd, reconnaissance aircraft spotted the convoy steaming south through the Vitiaz Strait. B-17 flying fortresses attacked from 15,000 feet through cloud breaks. They dropped 137 bombs. They claimed multiple hits. Post-battle analysis showed they sank nothing. That night, the ships scattered. The transports hugged the New Guinea coast. The destroyers formed a screen. Japanese commanders thought they'd reach Lae by dawn on March 4th. They'd unload the troops under fighter cover. They had no idea what was coming at first light. Captain Ed Larner briefed the 90th Bomb Squadron at Port Moresby on the evening of March 2nd. 12 B-25 strafers, 30 modified A-20 Havocs, Royal Australian Air Force Beaufighters for top cover, P-38 Lightnings to handle Japanese Zeros. The strafers would attack at masthead height, 50 feet above the water. Gun range, point blank. The plan was simple. Overwhelm the deck guns with concentrated firepower. Skip bomb the ships while they were stunned. Get out before the Zeros arrived. At 6:30 on March 3rd, the strike force assembled over Cape Ward Hunt, 137 aircraft. The Japanese convoy was 70 miles northwest of Lae when the B-17s arrived. The transports opened fire with every gun. Then the strafers arrived. Larner led the B-25s in from the southeast at wavetop height. 14 forward-firing guns per aircraft. 168 guns total across 12 strafers. They came in line abreast. A wall of firepower 300 yards wide. The Japanese crews on the transport Kyokusei Maru saw them at 2 miles. The ship opened fire with every gun. The B-25s opened fire at 800 yards. The 50 caliber rounds tore through unarmored superstructures like paper. They punched through steel plating, shattering bridges and turning gun decks into slaughterhouses. Flying at 250 miles per hour, barely 50 feet above the waves, the B-25s released their payloads. The 500-pound bombs hit the water and skipped like flat stones on a pond. The Kyokusei Maru erupted. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. The A-20s roared in to finish what they started. The destroyer Arashio took a skip bomb amidships and lost steering. The Tokatsukas was set ablaze from stem to stern. By noon, the convoy was a graveyard. Of the 8 transports, all 8 were sinking or burning. Of the 8 destroyers, 4 were at the bottom. The final tally, over 3,000 Japanese troops dead. Only a handful of survivors reached the shore. Japan never tried to run a large transport convoy to New Guinea again. Happy Gun's impossible planes had changed the physics of the Pacific War.